So where were we, guys? Last week we talked about my '53 Pontiac Chieftain, how it was my first like old school hot rod, only car I still had, and well, there might have been a few regrets. Speaking of regrets, that takes us to this week's memory that well, you're gonna have to watch to find out. So here's your Monday morning memory from Pugliese Speed Shop. And once again, guys, we take the trek through the basement here over to my book because that's where I keep some of my regrets. This guy right here. Let's flip through the pages, which I still haven't fixed the book. Probably never will. I'm sure you guys figured that out by now. But there's the old Pontiac. Talked about that last week. There she is. There she is. And what do we have here, guys? My 1953. Let me. I got better. Just let's zoom you out so you don't get no shadows. There's your Dakota in the background. There's Justin's 49 Buick and my 53 Cadillac Fleetwood. There she is in front of Justin's house. We used to live on base. There's Justin and Michelle. Stop looking at Justin's butt. There's a Lincoln in the background. If that Saturn wasn't there, if I could stop shaking my hand. Yeah. That, definitely a cool picture. Let's bring it on over here. Let's zoom you back out here. Yeah. This is the day we picked it up. Brought it right to Justin's house because, well, Justin's the one that found it. I gotta zoom you in here, guys. Look at this. Heated seat. You see that fan? Heated seat. Crazy. So far ahead of its time. Megan did a little interior work here. Tried to do a little paint work. She's coming right along, guys. Is that the kid in there? Yeah, that's actually... There's Andrew in the driver's seat. And there's Casey in the passengers. That's over there in Chip's house when we have to move to Carolina. Ooh, there's a bunch of cars there, huh? You've seen this picture a bunch of times. It's probably my favorite picture of that car. God, I think it's pretty. And that's where we're going to leave it as far as pictures go. Let's go talk about it. Guys, this is one of those stories where you're looking and looking and looking, right? And you find stuff, but the second you stop looking, the thing you always wanted is right there in your back door. It's crazy, right? So, you saw that Lincoln. Justin had that Lincoln at a repair shop in Ridgecrest. Did he have it there or did he buy it from there? I don't remember. I think he bought it from there, and he was walking around, and Justin, being Justin, peeks over the fence. There's a little house there, little garage, and in the yard is that caddy. It's been sitting for a little while. You see the paint, just like the desert. It was all washing away, which is fine because the car was super dry. It had power windows in it. Yeah, power windows 1953. Guys, this thing had power windows, automatic headlight dimmer that I didn't see again until my 2019 Tundra, right? It had the heated seat. I mean, it was crazy, the things that these cars had. That Cadillac was just so far ahead of their time, you know? But with the power windows, they weren't electric. You know, there's electric switches, went down to a solenoid that ran a hydraulic actuator. So, don't put your finger in this thing. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna take back a nub, you know. But because it was in the desert and it sat for a long time, the seals dried up and the fluid leaked out and the windows came down. So the interior got pretty beat up. That's why the seats looked the way they did. The The headliner was trashed. Pretty much the whole interior was no longer with us, right? Um, it had some skinny whites on it, skinny white walls, and it was just sitting there. So Justin's a talker, okay, and that's me saying this. So all right, he goes over, starts talking to the guy, and says, "Well, it's for sale. I need $2,500." So Justin's like, "Okay." He's like, "But you got to take the parts car in the back." He said, "Okay, I think I got the guy for this." He hits me up. I go look at it, and I'm thinking about it. And I tell Megan. And Megan says, "Let's go look at it." So we do. She falls in love. All right? She absolutely falls in the car. She's like, "Chaz, I want it." So the guy was hilarious. He's like, he kind of reminded me of the guy from the movie Christine, if you've ever seen that, like the guy that sells a car at first. Because he wasn't in the best of health. He was on oxygen, older guy. Being on oxygen did not stop him from smoking. We were all in danger, right? But yeah, he's a, I can't do the voice, but he was like, "You need to give me $2,500, and I won't take $24.99." I said, "Okay." And he says, "That parts car in the back, it ain't got a drive shaft in it, but it runs. You got to take it with you." Okay. So that wasn't the Fleetwood. That was like the Series 60, or I forget what numbers were back then. But basically, our car had the long trunk on it. Whereas this one, I got to help this dog out. Give me a second. Sorry, guys. I'm going to have the kid put a picture right here. She's fine, but she doesn't know how to control that cone. I'm going to tell you what. And yeah, I had to help her out. She's good to go. She's in chilling with the kid. So now we get back to talking about Cadillacs, all right? So the Series 62, was it? Had the shorter trunk. Kind of not quite as short as my 53 Pontiac, but just a little shorter. And that was a big thing. The Fleetwood was, the Fleetwood. I mean, come on, right? So I said, "All right, I guess I'll take that too." And I think I got the guy for that one. So we tow that one to Manland. That's when Chip, Joe, and Brandon all lived there. And it was a warehouse that they all rented. And it was awesome, guys. It was just the coolest place. So we tow that over there. Leave it on the trailer. And I make a trade with Brandon. I give him this was a 52 Cadillac, the parts car. I gave him that one, and he gave me a bunch of parts I needed for the front end of my 53. So everybody wins, because he had the parts and didn't need them. I had a car, didn't need it. We're done. So the Caddy, we made Megan take it out for test drive. Rode great. We drove it home. Actually, we drove it over to Justin's house, and I left it up there in China Lake. Now, we lived about an hour south. We already had orders. Our house is already for sale. Actually, I think it already sold at this point. Yeah, it did. It already sold at this point. And we were moving to North Carolina. So what you want to do before you move cross country is buy as many old cars as possible. That's a solid plan. No, it's not. But we did that. And I don't regret that for 1 second. So we had the... I brought the Fleetwood over to Manland, and I left it there. We cruised it around a little bit, let the Justin sometimes, because they all lived right there on the base. Now I got a cat. No, I can't get away from these animals. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna tell you right now, you should get a cat. It's completely stress-free. No, it's not. I don't know where he's at. He's tore this up for a minute, and now he's gone. So hopefully he stays that way, because he's about to piss me off. All right, but so we take the car over to Manland, and we decide we're going to throw a paint job on it right quick, because the Viva Las Vegas car show is coming up. It's up there in Las Vegas. That's where it gets the name. Easter weekend. At that time, was it the Gold Coast? I believe it was. opened their doors to all like the rockabilly greasers from all over the world, and all these cars were there. It was awesome. It ended up getting, actually, the Gold Coast, I think, is no longer with us. We stayed at the Boardwalk, which is no longer with us, but that's another whole thing. Not really. It's part of the story. Here we go. I take the car over there. I shoot it satin black, and it comes out great, guys. I can't believe how it come out. The trick was more in the white top. The top of the Cadillacs is always weird to me. It almost like they was wearing a hat, and I didn't really like that. But when you shoot it a different color, especially white, it kind of just goes away. It really just looked awesome. And the way the trim was, it was perfect. So then I laid plastic over everything, and I shot the top white. Guys, I did it all with rattle cans, okay? But back then, Kmart had Dutch Boy paint. And the Dutch Boy paint, the fan was so wide, it was almost like the turbo cans are now. No tiger stripe. Guys, matter of fact, I shot the roof of this car, and we sat it next to my buddy Casey, had a white Dodge Ram. It was like 3 years old. And the roof sat about the same height as the hood. So, guys, the roof of my car shined and looked better than that factory paint on that Dodge. So, yeah. Spray Bomb Mafia is a real thing. It's one of my go-tos, and that thing looked good. And it withstood for 4 years, looked the same, and I didn't have a garage. And that was in North Carolina, but let's go back to when I painted it. So I get it painted. I go through everything, just like my old man taught me, right? Buy a used vehicle, plugs, wires, cap, rotor, coil, condenser, all the stuff. Because it had a stutter, but a tune-up took care of all that. This thing had 33,000 original miles on it. So then, belts and hoses. That's when I found out. I was like, why is these hoses going to the car? It had a separate heater core for the heated seat. It's crazy. Take care of all that. It was already running on a 12 volt. Only thing it didn't have, which kind of made me a little, but dual exhaust, glass packs. It sounded so perfect, guys. God, it sounded awesome. And but the pipes didn't come through the rear bumper anymore. They turned down, which is good and bad. I love the way that looks, but that condensation and everything caused it to rust. So we have to worry about that. There was a little bit of rust around the front. It was like surface pitted chrome rust. It wasn't like rot. Anyway, this car was so solid. It was a desert car its whole life. So, and I painted that in the front, and then the eyebrows over the headlights were jacked up a little bit from pitting, and I just sanded and painted. This was all black, and it just looked so good. Megan picked out that material, the black with the little white pinstripes. She did the interior. Then we hung some black and white dice from the rearview mirror, and we headed to Vegas, right? Now, you saw Justin's 49 in that picture. The rear end was howling because the guy, he made a trade. It didn't work out the best, but it was a cool car. Well, that rear end was pretty shot, and we got the cat back. Hopefully he doesn't tear the basement up again. So, I'm waiting, and here we go. Wait one. Who wants a cat? Free. I'll deliver. I'll give you a year's worth of food if you just take this freaking thing right now. God. Where were we? So Justin's rear end was not, well, that sounded terrible. The rear end on Justin's car wasn't doing very well at all. It was howling. It was getting warm. It was not good. We tried to do some changing from he had a 49 and he had a 50. We tried to change that up. It didn't work out. So the end result of all this was Justin was driving my Dakota with a broken hand, not related to his rear end problems at all. That's got to be a better way to say that. Brandon was driving the 37 Buick, beautiful car, absolutely beautiful, and we were in the Caddy. So, and this is really, it's a whole thing. Brandon had his girlfriend at the time in his car. Justin and Michelle were in my truck. Me and Megan were in the Caddy with Megan's friend, who is now Brandon's wife, in the back seat. So they might have gotten to tequila a little bit, but we were working on the cars. So it made for rather amusing ride up there. We get about 60 miles into the trip, what's Vegas to Ridgecrest, maybe 200 miles, if that. Brandon starts having problems. Fuel delivery problems. It just keeps cutting out. We stop at Four Corners. We end up making it to Barstow before we realize it's not happening. The car was completely redone. He had some headers made on, like homemade headers, and they were awesome on that Fireball straight 8. It was lowered, wide whites, everything. It didn't have the scallops on it yet, but man, the car was just, he painted that true blue. It looked great on the side of the road. So turns out the fuel tank was trash inside. He later on had one made by the same guy that made the headers, but that didn't help us get to Vegas when that happened, 6 months later. So we ended up leaving it in Barstow after trying to get it going again. Maybe not well, it actually worked out fine, but we were worried about that. We left it there. The guy at the gas station seemed pretty legit, and he took care of the car. So I think Brandon and his chick jumped in. Yeah, they jumped in the back of Dakota, and he went in the back of Dakota because his now wife was in the back seat, hammered. They weren't trying to deal with that, so we kept heading north. We get there, we check into the Boardwalk Hotel, and get everybody settled. The girls go out and have a great time, and me, Brandon, and Chip jump into Dakota and shoot down back to Ridgecrest to get a trailer. Now, you would have thought that if Justin was driving my truck, we would have just brought the trailer with us, but we didn't do that. We were that confident. We get there in the middle of the night. By the way, I drove and they slept because I said I'd drive. But we get there. The 52 Caddy's still in the trailer. Remember I said that earlier. Before the 19 distractions. But so we offload it, put the trailer on the truck, and back to Barstow. We get Brandon's car on the trailer and to Vegas. I got to be the only guy in the world that paid for a hotel room in Vegas and spent the night in Barstow and Ridgecrest. And that's just not a great plan, but it happened. We stopped at State Line. I remember this distinctly. We stopped at State Line to get to get gas, and that's when Brandon and Justin both woke up and were like, "Hey, you want me to drive?" And we're like, "This cat again, guys. I'm going to shoot it. This is why I don't carry." I swear to God. Oh my God. Okay, so we I said I got it, guys. Just 30 miles, right? So we get there. I think we napped for about 45 minutes. Hit the buffet, and decide we're getting the cars in the show. I jump in the caddy. It was missing, and it turned out just a plug wire come loose. But we fixed that real quick. We pull the bonnet off of Brandon's car. Justin is standing on the running board with a PBR can full of gas, and he's pouring it in the car as Brandon's driving this thing in. So that's how it started. The guys, this show was amazing. I just saw Justin last month, and all we did was we talked about all these kind of things, and that whole show was just incredible. Everything about it. We got to meet. They had people from American Graffiti there. The chick that played Debbie loved my hat I was wearing, and my car. Same with Bo Hopkins, the guy that played the leader of the Pharaohs. Yeah, the Pharaohs. That was awesome. Met George Barris. Just great music, guys. Everything was awesome. So then we're heading back Sunday morning, and same setup. I'm in the caddy. We're pulling a Buick, and that's when I think I mentioned this in the other video. I saw Brandon. I mentioned when I talked about Dakota on the grass, like in the shoulder, just. As I'm on the brakes stopping for the traffic that started for Easter weekend, I had trailer brakes. That's the last time we towed a trailer without trailer brakes, I'll tell you that. But luckily nothing got damaged. Brandon's a good driver. and he saved the day. I think the fact that his 37 was on the back is probably honed his skills in a little bit better. But yeah, so that all went awesome. Actually, as we were leaving, somebody tried to buy the caddy from me. I told you guys what I paid for it. He offered me 10 grand, like right then and there, and a bus ticket home. Megan looked at me and said, "Please don't sell my car." So I didn't. Brandon's there, dude. I'll give you the caddy back. You can build that one, man. Just get. I was like, I didn't do it, and I'm glad because we had that thing for about 4 years after that. So we transferred to North Carolina, and we drove that car every chance we had. Brandon ended up moving there a couple months later. He had that 37, and he had a bunch of cars at the time, but he still does. But we go all the time, man. We what was it? We up to State Line, where North Carolina and Virginia meet at this little gas station. They'd have bluegrass music on Friday nights. We pull the cars up there, listen to like live music, drink a couple beers, whatever. There was a couple car shows we put it in around there. And I just drove that thing. I mean, all the time. Megan drove it all the time. Just sometimes we just go out cruising. It was like, I remember looking for houses. We're looking to buy a house. We were having a house built, but we every time we went out, we got in the caddy. We were driving around looking where we wanted to live. Megan had to drive it for a little while. We had some issues with some vehicles, and you'll hear that on future memories. But through the winter, going back and forth to work, I bypassed all the heater cores and stuff because they were leaking. So she was a little chilly. We took it out one year for. Here's a picture right here for it. It was Halloween. Andrew didn't normally dress like that, but and we lived out in the sticks, guys. We had like a dirt road, so we would go to the downtown area, which was awesome, and we go down trick or treating around there. Well, we're driving the caddy there, and a fuel pump goes out. So I leave it at this little service station. I knew the guy, so it was cool. So I'll come back and get it. So in case you came and picked us up, we went and got Megan's Explorer. Went home, went out trick or treating. And Andrew was like 4 or 5 years old. And as we're trick or treating, Dad, we gotta get the caddy. Dad, we gotta get the caddy. Dad, we gotta get the caddy. I was like, it's fine. We're good. No, let's get the caddy. We gotta get it. So he was more worried about the car and candy. So we end up, I get an electric fuel pump and just hot wired in, and we drive it home, no problem. Well, I ended up eventually just putting an electric fuel pump in it. I kind of put on a toggle switch. It was kind of a anti-theft for that kind of car too, because it's stupid easy for somebody to take if they want to. So I figured I can only let them get a half block away, right? So I had that in there, and it was fine. I had it for years. My brother comes down. I think he just graduated high school, and drove my dad's car down there, and ran all my cars out of gas. Literally. Actually, the Cadillac, quite literally, he ran out of gas. And it wouldn't, he's trying to get the start, it won't start. He thinks the fuel pump's not working, so he's beating the fuel pump, breaks the fuel pump. It was mounted back by the tank. Breaks, just because it was out of gas. So I ended up replacing that. I think I put a better one on anyways. It had like the, AutoZone special. I think I put a Holly Red pump on it, and never had a problem again. Now, it happens, guys. You kind of get bored, right? It happens to me every couple of years. I don't know, it's like the military mind. For like every 4 years, I'm looking for orders to move somewhere. But I was looking at different cars. I think I was more getting like a daily driver or something. I didn't want to have a loan, all this stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to, and it was just sitting. It was sitting. So we had a bunch of other cars. We didn't have a garage. We had a very poor excuse for a dirt floor garage that the chieftain was sitting in. But where we were, guys, it was great, but we didn't ever get fully set up there. So like if you weren't on the driveway, you were getting stuck in the mud. I was wanting to build a shop in the back and all that. We didn't have time. I went on 3 deployments in the 4.5 years I was there, plus all the workups and stuff. That just it doesn't leave a lot of time. So I said, well, we're going to sell the car, and it was just like I said. It was sitting. It wasn't getting taken care of. It was too beautiful of a car to let that happen to. So we put it on eBay, and I had a buddy of mine that really was interested in it. I had another friend of mine who was really interested in it, and eventually it just they didn't have the money and or a place to keep it either. They were kind of in the same boat with that, so it went to Denmark, which guy paid me top dollar. I can't complain about that. If you're shipping a car from the U.S. to Denmark, I think you're going to take care of it. At this point, I had 40-something thousand miles on. I think 41, 42,000. It was, the paint still looked great. It needed some interior work. I don't think we had any carpet in it at the time. And it was kind of a chintzy material, but it looked good. The Mega had on the seats. And yeah, we sold it. I'm glad it went that far away, so I didn't have to see it every day because, guys, that's the one I really regret. If we had to do over again, if we knew we were going back to California, we're going to have a place to store it and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't have sold it. I'll never find another one, and the prices of them are crazy if you do try and find another one. So it is what it is. God, I hate that saying. Why did that's like? We gotta find. That's what. As much as I hate the saying, it fits. I've used it twice recently, but both times it fits. So, well, I hope that whoever bought that thing is sitting in some climate control garage and he's driving it as much as possible, but taking care of it when he's not. Because I don't know what the weather is like in Denmark, but I feel it gets chilly. Probably a little snow. That car, one more little thing. I remember driving home from work. Me and Casey were driving home from work, night check, about 2 o'clock in the morning. And guys, it was 331 in it. It was pretty quick. That's another one I told you in the Cadillac, in the Pontiac video. The hydromatic plant burned down in 53, so they had a power glide in it. And man, it was just smooth, man. You got on the highway 85 mile an hour, you wouldn't even know you're doing it, right? So I'm coming through these back roads, we're floating along. Casey falls asleep. I stop at a red light. I have my arm on a window. I just for a second close my eyes. I was out for I don't know how long. Luckily, no cop came through and think I was drinking. Luckily, my foot didn't slip off of the brake either. But that's how comfortable that car was. So it was so clean, so solid. I'm sure it is well taken care of. The guy in Denmark, I don't know what you call somebody from Denmark, but Denmarkian? It's probably not right. But either way, I hope he's loving it. And yeah. Sometimes think twice before you sell them, guys. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for watching, guys.